COVID is part of our reality, but continuing the stigma associated with the virus should never be part of our daily lives. When we discriminate against persons who have COVID or have recovered from COVID, we run the risk of persons hiding the illness to avoid being singled out. Now, this may also result in persons refusing to seek medical attention and may also discourage them from adopting healthy behaviors. Let's be responsible. Seek out COVID-19 information from credible sources such as the Ministry of Health and Wellness. We're in this together. Don't discriminate. I'm your host, Theodore Henry, and your Jamaica Magazine program continues right now.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, July 6. The entertainment industry has been given a stern warning following the disclosure of breaches of the COVID-19 safety regulations. The closure of Devon House in New Kingston until further notice, which took effect today, is the most recent action taken by the government against entities that have allegedly violated the Disaster Risk Management Order. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says there is evidence of entertainment venues in the country advertising to patrons to come and partake in their services despite restrictions in place.
I want to make it quite clear, ladies and gentlemen, that there is no order that permits the operations of such entity that offer rides and that sort of facility anywhere in Jamaica. Entertainment as it stands is still on the ban list of activities that is to take place across the country. I have advised the Commissioner of Police of these locations.
Minister McKenzie made the statements at a press conference on Sunday to update the country on regulations governing the entertainment industry. A notice of reopening was extended to theaters, cinemas, playhouses, and restaurants, provided operators adhere to the strict guidelines. In other COVID-19 related news, the Ministry of Health is looking to this week introduce the use of an app for monitoring returning Jamaicans who have been ordered to quarantine at home. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie gave the update during the ministry's Digital COVID Conversations press briefing on July 2.
Right now we're using the app for the geofencing where they get the calls to ensure that they're in the right location. But right now you will get calls from the health department to check on your temperature and if you're having any symptoms, and persons from the health department will visit. But as we go into hundreds and hundreds of persons that are coming into the parish, it's not going to be so easy. But there will be a new way to do this, in that you will be required to put in your temperature and your symptoms on the app, and the health department will be able to monitor you from this.
Dr. Bisesa McKenzie says this is among several changes being made to Jamaica's COVID-19 protocols as the country braces for increased arrivals at the island's airports in July. As part of those changes, persons will be instructed to go home and make an appointment for testing using the Jam COVID app.
If you are not able to use your phone, you can call the health department to set that appointment for testing. And we want you to try to do that testing within 24 to 48 hours of your coming back to Jamaica.
She acknowledges that persons may not receive their test results within a short time, given the high volume of persons being dealt with, but stresses that it is important for persons to stay at home and adhere to all the protocols. In other news, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says government will be using several models to deliver new housing solutions to Jamaicans under the Housing Opportunity, Production and Employment HOPE program. Mr. Holness made the announcement on Thursday as he revealed that government would be focusing the HOPE program's interventions more on offering housing solutions, as it has already focused much on employment.
We are going to employ several models of delivering social housing. One model is to take over a housing development like this one. I call it housing development, trying to be politically correct. But really, it is a tenement yard, or a big yard, or a yard with several houses in it, but all of them are in substandard condition. And we are going to replace this. Initially, we had a budget of $1 billion. And that would have done over 1,000 units right across Jamaica. That was the intention. We have had to cut the budget because of the COVID situation. But we are still pressing ahead.
The Prime Minister was speaking during a function to hand over the first multifamily housing solution constructed under the social housing component of the HOPE program. It was constructed in 6 months at a cost of approximately $22.6 million and handed over to 3 sisters in Annotto Bay, St. Mary. Their seaside board and zinc homes in a tenement yard were transformed into 3 attached 2-bedroom units with bathrooms and other amenities. It's representative of HOPE's new housing models, which will be targeted at persons who do not have an income and are not NHD contributors, and who would not have had a chance to purchase a house on the open market. The Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF will be advancing the build-out of technology support systems in several key areas to strengthen its crime-fighting capabilities. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang says focus will include the expansion of smart checkpoint facilities, under which 120 police vehicles are being installed with tablets. In addition, provision is being made for service vehicles to access the central database system.
Which means you no longer have to call in or write paper tickets. From their service vehicle, they'll be able to enter on their smart computer, their laptops, and get the data they require about any particular vehicle or individual they might be apprehending.
Minister Chang was making his contribution to the sectoral debate in the House of Representatives recently. Other advancements in the JCF's use of technology will see approximately 200 body-worn cameras being deployed and radio and microwave communication systems being expanded. There will also be increased capacity for surveillance through the closed-circuit TV CCTV network.
The robust use of technology will lead to the trust and confidence by means of the JCF and the public alike. The goal is to deliver the right service in the right way, enabled by modern technologies and underpinned by professional standards and values of policing.
And finally, starting today, all National Insurance Scheme NIS pensioners will be able to encash their pension vouchers with payable dates of July 2020. This move by the Ministry of Labour and Social Security is to allow pensioners to have early access to their benefits during the COVID-19 crisis. The ministry says the provision is available at post offices across the island. But Director of National Insurance at the ministry, Portia Magnus, is encouraging pensioners to sign up with the NIS's direct deposit payment system, which allows NIS pensions to be deposited directly to their bank accounts. The NIS Direct Deposit Information Form is available at the Ministry's parish offices. It can also be downloaded from the Ministry's website, mlss.gov.jm. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
The annual hurricane season often brings about increased rainfall, but it also contributes to an increase in the virus-carrying vector, the mosquito. Watch this next feature to see what you can do to rid your homes and communities of mosquito breeding sites.
We're looking for any container or anything which can hold water. It doesn't need a lot of water for that mosquito to deposit its eggs. Very shallow quantity of water they can deposit in it.
The rain has fallen and this has collected water. And if it is allowed to sit in the environment for a couple of days, the Aedes aegypti will breed on it. This is a plastic over a pail and the water is on the plastic. This is a beautiful breeding site for the Aedes aegypti mosquito. We have a similar one right here. There's water on the top of this container and the Aedes aegypti mosquito will breed in it. Once the water begins to evaporate and she has a space to lay her eggs, she will lay her eggs and this will then become a breeding site. Turn it over. We do appreciate that roof gutters are very necessary in some areas that do not have pipe water, so it helps to collect the rainwater when it comes. However, if these roof drains become blocked by trash or other things, then it makes the water stagnant and it becomes a major breeding site for the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So it's important if you have these roof gutters that you keep them clear, that the water is able to run. Even among your plants, we have plants that are, because of how the leaves overlap each other, they are able to collect water. And Aedes aegypti loves to breed in those environments. We suggest that persons do. If you think you love these plants and you want them, put them in pots. So when they do collect water, you're able to pick up the pots, drain them out and put them down. Because as it is right now, it's very difficult for us to get rid of the water and they will just continue to be in the environment as breeding sites.
This is a tire which has been discarded, but it's just in the backyard. And what we have now is apparently rainwater has now settled inside there, and we have it breeding. The Aedes are back to the breeding inside here. It can be used as an enclosure for your plants, like a potted plant situation. So what we'll show you now is how we can have it filled with dirt that will ensure that when rain does fall, mosquito will not breed in it.
There's also a method of stacking the tires so that they will not collect water. We advise the tire shop owners to, for each tire that they get, to punch a hole in each of the tires. Once that is done, they can stock them in this plaiting form. So they have one row going in a particular direction and then another set going in the opposite direction, and they will continue with this. What this does, it allows the water to be directed towards where the hole is bored. So even if the rain comes and water goes in, the water will not settle but go out. We know that most churches have what is called a baptismal pool. And we have found baptismal pools to be a major breeding site for the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So what is it that churches should do? We recommend that all baptismal pools be covered properly so that the mosquito will not have access to it for breeding. Sometimes the pools are shaped very funny, and so it's very difficult to cover. In those instances, we ask persons to empty the pool at least once per week. And after emptying the pool, we ask that you scrub the sides to ensure that you have dislodged all the eggs. So we saw many sites that were breeding the Aedes aegypti mosquito today. And we saw that these sites were found in and around our homes, business places. And if we do not deal with these breeding sites, they are going to continue to be there, posing a risk for the transmission of diseases because they are breeding the Aedes aegypti mosquito. So you must take action to rid your environment of those sites. So what is it that we're asking you to do? We want you to make this a habit. Once a week, search for and destroy the breeding sites of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Did you know that you can apply for a copy of your birth certificate online or by visiting any of the Registrar General's Department offices listed on their website? For ease of processing, there are several things you need to know about the person or child whose birth certificate you are applying for. Here's a checklist. Ensure you know the correct name and spelling of the person, as well as their mother and father. You will need their date and place of birth, which is usually the name of the hospital or location they were born. Parish of birth is also important. Find out also the birth entry number along with the date and place of registration for the adult or child. Remember, for additional information on how you can apply for a copy of your birth certificate or someone else's, contact the Registrar General's Department today.
The fourth national goal of the Vision 2030 Jamaica National Development Plan calls for the country to have a healthy natural environment. The state has initiated plans to bolster this national effort through the implementation of the 3 Million Trees in 3 Years initiative. Take a look.
Climate change is real. We must address it in order to secure our future. Our children are depending on us.
And so the government has launched an initiative which will see a tree being planted for every Jamaican on the island. These 3 million trees will be planted over a 3-year period across the length and breadth of Jamaica land we love.
Planting trees, of course, is one of the ways in which Jamaica is taking deliberate, strategic, and decisive action to mitigate the effects of climate change.
The program will be managed by the Forestry Department with support from the European Union's Development Fund.
€1 million of the total amount will be specifically dedicated to reforestation and maintenance of degraded lands, with special attention to species that are indigenous to Jamaica.
Our aim is to improve the resilience of our coasts, hillsides, and plains, while also improving the beauty of our urban centers, major thoroughfares, parks, and the added effect of offsetting greenhouse gas emissions.
All the trees that we're planting over the next 3 years will be for nothing if we don't deal with the issue of the degradation of the forests. Ladies and gentlemen, if our forests are cut down without regard for sustainable forest management, we all know that our watersheds and our water supply challenges will worsen.
The 3 Million Trees initiative will focus on 3 main areas.
It would be one that protects our coast, including mangroves, one that does general forestation, one that includes urban forestation, and on the other side,
we're going to have a national fruit tree planting program of 3 million fruit trees to be planted as well.
In addition to 1,000 Hope interns that will benefit under the program, employment opportunities will be provided for persons from communities adjacent to areas to be planted.
$2 million timber seedlings will be planted on over 3,000 hectares of land managed by the Forestry Department. The department will distribute the remaining plants, a mixture of timber and ornamentals, to the public.
We want to get more of the private sector adopting hillsides. These are lands that we manage, that we want to just take charge and be responsible for the maintenance of all of that.
To ensure that the seedlings remain viable and transition into healthy forest, a mobile app using GPS technology is being finalized. This private-public sector partnership will see the monitoring and tracking of the plant's progress.
Because it's nice that we plant the trees today, we take a lot of pictures and everything. But what happened to those trees afterwards? So we really want everybody to ensure that the trees we plant today, we return to them, ensure that they are still growing, and check on the trees we planted last year.
We are taking a different approach with this project to ensure its success. Over the next 3 years, we will be rolling out different aspects of the initiative through public education campaigns focused on the preservation of the environment.
The challenge has been thrown out. Will you answer the call? Will you dedicate a portion of your land for planting trees? Will you adopt a hillside to stop landslides? Will you ensure that the trees you've planted are nurtured? We can do it. We should do it. We must do it.
It is hope that this action will ignite in every single Jamaican the understanding, the will and the commitment to play their part in securing Jamaica's environment and making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, do business, and retire in paradise.
If you've ever wondered what your property taxes are used for, wonder no more. Your property taxes provide revenue for the provision of public and community amenities throughout Jamaica, which are delivered by local government officials. When you pay your property taxes, you aid with the maintenance and expansion of our street lighting to ensure you are not walking in the dark at nights, the collection and disposal of solid waste to prevent the pileup of garbage in communities, the improvement of our community infrastructure, and repairs to fire stations and service vehicles, along with rehabilitation of our roads. Pay your property taxes online, in line, or via mobile tax units and avoid being sought by the government. For more information, visit the Tax Administration website at www.jamaicatax.gov.jm or call 876-902-9463.
Our heritage sites may be closed due to COVID-19, but that shouldn't stop you from learning about our history. Let's see how some of our metal artifacts are preserved for display at these sites.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Headquarters House, home of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust. We're going to take you through some of the ropes in the methods in conservation, so please come along with us. Thanks for joining us in our conservation lab. We have here working with us Mr. Darrington Ferguson as well as Mr. Frank Gale, and we'll be looking at some of the methods they will be applying to different material types for the preservation of our material culture of Jamaica. First of all, we have here some cannonballs that are usually found with some extent of corrosion. Mr. Ferguson is actually removing mechanically some of the concretion from a cannonball, and after he has removed that, then we would wire it. This wired metal object we would then install in our electrolytic tank. In the process of electrolysis, what we are actually doing, we are primarily reversing the process of corrosion. Once it has been electrolyzed, it would look something like this. So we would then proceed to brush to remove any loose rust that would be left on it. We would then put the iron object in some pure water, which we call deionized water, and that would be heated to ensure that the metal itself would facilitate the extraction of any impurities that might be left in the body of the iron. After that, we would dry the iron object. Most times we dry it in alcohol, and that would remove the water from the body of the object. And after drying, we would take a substance we call tannic acid, applying several coats, and it would form somewhat a stable surface for the iron object. And then the final stage is waxing to provide a coating or a lacquer on the surface of the iron object. Here we have Mr. Gale. He's actually applying orthophosphoric acid to remove slight rusting or corrosion from the case of a sword. He is actually using what we call a chemical as well as a mechanical means of so doing. We have close to it the extractor system, which is used to remove harmful fumes from the atmosphere in order to make the environment a much healthier one in which and a safer one for us to work. Lead corrodes by forming mainly lead sulfide and lead carbonate. So we would be soaking it first of all in ammonium acetate, and that would basically remove within a few hours the lead carbonate. In order to remove any residue of ammonium acetate that might be left on the lead, we would then rinse it quickly for a short time period. Just rinse it in a bath of a very dilute solution of hydrochloric acid. If there are any corrosion left at that stage, then we would remove that mechanically, either very likely with a glass bristle brush. After that, we do as we would with the iron. Coming over here now, we have copper or copper material. We have been soaking this copper in a substance we prepare in the lab, which we call alkaline Rochelle salt. The alkaline Rochelle salt will remove from it largely what we call bronze disease. So we soak it in the solution. The chemical will dissolve the bronze disease. After that has been dissolved, then we would rinse in, for example, a dilute solution of sulfuric acid to remove any slight impurities or corrosion product that might be left there. After that, we will, as we do with the other metals, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you were well informed by the information we've imparted today, and you're welcome to join us at any time, particularly at our heritage sites. And when you see our heritage sites, you see the artifacts that are there, you will appreciate to a greater extent the effort that has gone into its preservation.
And that's all the time we have left on this station. We return tomorrow, round about the same time, with more information you can use to improve your daily life. Stay connected with us online through our website, YouTube channel, social media pages, and our mobile app that's both iOS and Android compatible. On behalf of the entire production crew here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.